state were to require a management license, what would be the impact on your industry, both financially and operationally?
For the property managers themselves, it would improve their skills. Quite often, I think they get into the industry not knowing as much as they could.
But it is more costly. If somebody is not producing for your bottom line for a year or 2 years while they're learning the industry, it costs you more. And when you, in turn, you have to obviously turn that cost over to your clients.
I think that the extra cost is difficult to pass on to the clients. In our company, our managers are either licensed or certified. You're required to be a licensed real estate broker. I think that's the way to go so that there is an additional cost. And of course, with the licensing is continuing education. There are hours dedicated to management. Mm-hmm. And I think that that should be expanded.
There are a lot of skills involved in the whole real estate industry. It's not to say that everybody needs all of them, but if you're going to be involved in management, there should be specific education and skill sets that are legitimized and taught, and then expanding to, as you said, to some sub, right, understanding of, you're going to be a managing agent in the 5 boroughs. You have to take this. You're going to be a managing agent in Westchester, Rockland, it's in Long Island. Because, listen, all these buildings have different types of structures. They have different administration, with the government that's involved.
Implementing a licensing requirement would be extraordinarily difficult because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of managing agents who are good people, educated people, doing a good job. And then how are you going to turn them into a licensed individual? There's a lot of concern in the industry. Is the government trying to implement something that's impossible for us to live with on a day-to-day basis?
It'd be very difficult to implement. Look at what the city's going through. HPD was required to make sure that all of the superintendents had licenses. And then they were going to come out in the next month. I heard this 3 years ago, to tag you if your superintendent didn't have a license. And we all ran around getting guys into classes and whatnot and filling out these applications. And I still haven't gotten all the licenses back that I filled out 2 years ago.
If there's already some basic parameters that are necessary, and the state isn't even enforcing that, what's expanding, to a greater program until there's some ability to identify when somebody should be managing a property and shouldn't be managing a property. Sort of expanding is just going to create a larger governmental intrusion into the management of the building. It's not going to help them.
Do you think that having a licensing program in place would attract people to the field?
People look at it as a very difficult job and a hard job, that people are working long hours, absolutely thankless.
Nobody calls a management company because they're having a good day.
There is no sort of program. Nobody goes into college and says, I'm going to be a property manager. I don't think there's an ability to really set something like that up. I think it's something you sort of discover through your trials and tribulations of education, of where you're headed to. We've had people in our firm that had military backgrounds and couldn't deal with it because it wasn't linear. Mm-hmm. It wasn't being handed to them, these are your orders for the day. Absolutely.
Well, I'm disillusioned that you didn't dream of being a managing agent. Does anyone ever ask you if you have a license?
Less than 50% of the time, they ask, are you licensed?
Mm-hmm.
And less than 25% of the time do they ask to see the license.
What does that say about the boards?
I don't know that they know that you have to be licensed.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line.